First, though, breaking news in Portsmouth, Ohio, where deputies are investigating the death of a woman, and the prime suspect is her son. The sheriff's department says the call came in around 3:30 this afternoon in the West Portsmouth area.
Yeah, when deputies got there, they found the suspect and took him to a local hospital. After being treated, he was then taken to the Scioto County Jail to be interviewed by detectives. The cause of the victim's death, as well as names, are not known at this time. The victim's body has been taken to the Montgomery County morgue for an autopsy.
A developing story out of Clay County where the fallout continues from that racially charged Facebook post about First Lady Michelle Obama.
Right. We told you that letters, even threats, have made their way now to the county. Well, today, one of those letters contained a white powdery substance. This is it. The sheriff believes that the letter came from Delaware. The letter was intended to go to the Clay County Development Corporation because it was the nonprofit's director who wrote the controversial post. Instead, though, the letter ended up at the offices of the Communicator, which runs the community website, clayberry.org. Even though the powder ended up being boric acid, which is not harmful, the letter is threatening in nature. The origin of that letter is under investigation by U.S. Postal Inspector. Well, now to a pretty bizarre home break-in where the suspect threatened to kill everyone inside.
But the man who lives inside that home on Little 7 Mile Road in Huntington says the suspect didn't want cash or items, but just some information. News Channel 3's Andrew Colgrove spoke with the victims who say they still have no idea why that suspect targeted their home.
He's reached through the house and unlocked my door.
This man woke up early Sunday morning to the sound of the glass on his front door being shattered.
I got up thinking something fell or something broke.
He got up to see what was going on and saw this man, who he'd never seen before, standing at the foot of his stairs.
He was already heading upstairs for me, so I was going for my gun.
The resident says he went to grab his gun, but the suspect tackled him.
Tackled me in my bedroom and we crashed into my nightstand.
He says the man, later identified as Justin Golden from Charleston, demanded information about a woman the homeowner says he had never heard of. He says the man tried to get the information in an unorthodox manner.
He just walked around the kitchen and found the spray butter and sprayed it. And I don't know if it's cornmeal or there was some kind of something laying here, and he just walked over and did all that. And he said there will be some information come up that he knew was there.
He says Golden grabbed a steak knife out of a drawer and threatened to kill him and his 11-year-old boy.
Told me if I moved, he'd kill me. He'd kill my son.
The homeowner's mother heard the commotion from her room and called 911.
My biggest thing was to find my telephone in the dark and not to come where I could be seen.
I was just trying to stay calm through the thing, not to get him irate or get somebody hurt.
Deputies showed up and arrested Golden, who told them a green light led him there.
Hopefully he'll get what he deserves for the way he's changed the security in my house.
Well, Golden is facing a long list of charges, including assault, battery, destruction of property. The victim says, in what he can only call a strange coincidence, Megan Poston, one of the 4 teenagers murdered on the prom night in Huntington 11 years ago, lived in that same house. 2 people are in custody tonight after a drive-by shooting. Investigators got to the scene on Kentucky Avenue in St. Albans. They say the pair took off. They led officers on a chase over to Westland Estates in Winfield, and that's where Winfield's police chief says the driver hit his officer's cruiser during the pursuit. That officer was not injured, but there is damage to the car. The names of the people taken into custody and charges not released at this time. No injuries, though, were reported in that drive-by. Charleston police are investigating after a shooting was reported on Charleston's East End. It happened on Nancy Street, right near Washington Street East. 1 person was injured. We don't have much info at this time. Our photographer was there while police were asking him to get in his car because they heard another loud noise in the area. They weren't sure if it was more gunfire. As soon as we do get some more information, we will bring it to you here on WSAZ Mobile and WSAZ.com. 5 months after June flooding destroyed 3 schools, they say, in Nicholas County, community members are still waiting on a final decision as to where permanent replacement schools will be built.
Right, and folks from Richwood High School, Richwood Middle School, and Summersville Middle School say that a lack of detailed information has made many anxious county officials plan to move their schools far from home. It's why dozens showed up at tonight's board meeting. News Channel 3's Nathan Takich was there too. He joins us now live from the board offices in Summersville. Nathan, folks looking for a detailed plan might have left disappointed tonight.
Yeah, Brittany, and that's because the plan is really still coming together at this point. School officials reminded the crowd tonight their focus right now is still on securing portable classrooms for students who were displaced by the flooding over the summer. They say once they finish that process, then they will be able to present a long-term plan for each of those facilities. And they are close to that point. Superintendent Dr. Donna Birch-Tetrick told me she's gathering data about possible locations and could even make a presentation by the end of the month that will give folks an insight into a long-term location. But she says they have to shore up the short-term location first and finalize their plan for the portables. Guys, worth pointing out also, we learned tonight that folks with Nicholas County Schools got some information from the State Department of Emergency Management. They did an assessment to see what kind of help they could get from FEMA. Found out tonight that Summersville Middle School is entitled to money for a new building, but not a new property. 2 weeks ago, they found out that both of the Richwood schools were entitled to money for both a new building and new property.
All right, Nathan, we'll have to follow this and see where that goes. Nathan, thank you. A developing story in Tennessee where 6 children were killed when a school bus carrying dozens of students crashed this afternoon. Police say that the bus was carrying 35 students ranging from kindergarten to 5th graders when it crashed. Officers say that the bus was the only vehicle involved in the crash. Authorities say that 23 patients were taken to the hospital and the bus driver is cooperating with the investigation. They also have counselors and chaplains on staff to help families.
A mother and her 3-month-old son were flown to the hospital after a crash this afternoon. Troopers say 19-year-old Christina Collins failed to yield at a stop sign on Pattersonville Drive in Jackson, Ohio, as she was crossing State Route 32 in her car. The State Highway Patrol says then that her car was hit by a semi and both vehicles went through the guardrail and over the embankment. Collins and her son Ethan were flown to the hospital with serious injuries. Her daughter Kaylee only suffered minor injuries, they say. The driver of the semi was not hurt in the crash.
Well, wrapping up a chilled fall evening across the area. At 7 o'clock, already a little thin film of frost forming on car tops, a sure sign it will be white as snow tomorrow morning from frost and some patchy dense fog. Your first forecast, we start off 27 a.m., 8 a.m. temperature, school bell at 25 frosty cold degrees. The frost melts away and any fog burns away in time for a sunshiny day. 38 or 40 by the lunch hour, and by the end of the day, we'll be flirting with sunshine and a near 50-degree temperature. Doppler radar shows a clean sweep, as satellite imagery also shows no clouds in the sky. Weather headlines coming up on the CW at 10. We'll go state to state with a pinpoint forecast. We'll look ahead to your Hunter's forecast all the way through Thanksgiving Day. And by the way, guys, we're in a storm-free zone for another week. That's good news for travelers. We'll talk about it heading toward the holiday when I come back here on the CW at 10.
All right, thanks, Tony. This man from Charleston was arraigned today as he is accused of shooting a woman in the face. Wallace Klingman was arraigned on malicious wounding charges. Investigators say he shot Brittany Bocott, who's 31 years old, in the cheek on Tennessee Avenue. Back in the summertime on August 20th, she didn't suffer any life-threatening injuries, but Klingman will be back in court for his trial on January the 23rd. Around our region in Kentucky, where a man is dead after he was stabbed over the weekend. That fatal attack happened Friday night near a home in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Officials say 20-year-old DeAndre Payne stabbed 25-year-old Ryan Porter. Porter was taken to a hospital and then he was pronounced dead. Payne was arrested on Saturday. He's now charged with the murder. The incident is under investigation. They still haven't figured out a motive in this one.
Also around the region tonight in Ohio, where there was a shootout between a store clerk and a gunman trying to rob a convenience store. This happened at a Sunoco gas station late last night in Dayton. As you can see here, surveillance video caught the whole incident when officials say the gunman entered the store, approached 2 workers, drew his gun, and shot one of the employees in the leg. That's when the other worker, who is a concealed gun holder, began to fire his weapon several times. Authorities believe that one of those bullets may have hit the gunman in his left side. The injured clerk was taken to a nearby hospital and has since been released. The pharmaceutical company at the center of the EpiPen price hike controversy is declining to testify at a hearing next week. The Senate Judiciary Chairman says that an attorney for Mylan sent him a letter saying that they wouldn't testify at that hearing. That hearing is about a settlement between the company and the Justice Department. The company says that they don't want to testify because the settlement is still pending and the Justice Department won't be there either. The price for EpiPens has skyrocketed more than 500% since 2007 to a whopping $608 per 2-pack.
A roofing company from Putnam County and its owners were indicted for misleading customers to receive money for work that was never done. The Attorney General says that David and Stacy Breingar and their company Great Finishes LLC are charged with obtaining by false pretense. The lawsuit says they never returned to finish 5 roofing jobs in St. Albans, Oak Hill, Dunbar, and Huntington after receiving more than $22,000 in down payments. Protecting drinking water in the Kanawha Valley was the topic of a hearing tonight as the Department of Health and Human Resources works to draft a source water protection plan. The plan is intended to minimize any potential threats to source water for the Kanawha Valley system. It also aims to prepare for spills or other emergencies that might affect water service. You can submit your comments until December 5th to the DHHR office. If approved, the plan will be valid for 3 years.
Well, shoppers in St. Albans will be paying a little bit more in sales tax next year. Tonight, City Council members passed the second reading of a new 1% sales tax at tonight's meeting. No specific plans have been made for the money. However, council members say that it will go to pay for needs within the city.
Well, operating a city these days takes more money than it has in the past, and of course we also have some obligations we need to meet as a city as well as others.
That new sales tax will go into effect at the start of the new fiscal year, which is July 1st. Well, the votes are all tallied up.
After the break, we'll see how one county was able to clear up some close election day races.
And your Charleston weather cam shows nice, clean and clear driving on I-64 and adjacent 77 and 79. Careful, some valley fog and a thick frost tomorrow morning. It'll be white as snow out there. Updated forecast takes you through the holiday for travelers when I come back on the first half of the CW at 10.